I wake up before dawn, as I always do, even though I no longer have anywhere to be. For more than 30 years, I rose before the sun to prepare for classes at the community college, reviewing lecture notes on electrical circuits or scribbling equations on the blackboard. Old habits never leave, even when the world no longer expects anything from you. My body still stirs before the alarm, though the alarm has long been unplugged. The house is quiet. Too quiet. In the first few moments after I open my eyes, I still reach out to the right side of the bed. My hand meets the cold sheet, not the warmth of Lydia's shoulder. That emptiness has greeted me every morning for the past 5 years. The silence that follows is heavier than any sound. I push myself up, bones stiff, knees cracking, and walk down the narrow hallway toward the kitchen. The air smells faintly of dust and old wood. Lydia used to keep every corner shining. She would wipe down the baseboards, polish the banister, scrub the windows until they gleamed. I have not changed much since she left. The curtains she chose are still hanging in the living room. The porcelain figurines she collected sit on the shelves, untouched, their delicate faces, looking down on me like silent witnesses. I never understood her fascination with them, but I cannot bring myself to pack them away. I put the kettle on the stove, the same battered kettle Lydia bought when we were first married. The whistle is shrill like a voice calling from another time. I spoon loose tea into a mug, the brand Lydia always insisted on driving across town to buy. It tastes earthy, slightly bitter, and I imagine her sitting across from me, smiling the way she used to in the mornings. The tea burns my tongue. I do not mind. Pain is a reminder that I am still alive. The calendar on the wall shows September 28th. In 4 days, I will turn 67. I stare at the date, then at my reflection in the window pane. A face stares back that I barely recognize, thinning gray hair, deep creases etched across my forehead, stern eyes that once intimidated students but now only frighten me. When did I get so old? I have spent my life teaching others how the world works. The rules of cause and effect, the elegant structure of electricity flowing through a circuit. And yet no textbook ever explained why time devours us so mercilessly. I think about my son, Michael, 37 years old, a civil engineer in Boston. He designs bridges, interchanges the skeletons of cities. It is the kind of career he dreamed of when he was a boy, lying on the floor with Legos scattered around him, building towers and highways. I was proud then. I am proud still, though he rarely gives me a chance to say so. Since Lydia died, our conversations have grown thin, like worn threads ready to snap. She was the translator between us. When Michael said something careless, she softened it. When I said something sharp, she explained what I meant. Without her, our words crash against each other and fall uselessly to the ground. Michael's wife, Samantha, has not made things easier. I remember the first time he brought her home 7 years ago. She stepped into this house in a perfectly pressed dress, her long dark hair tied in a bun. She smiled, polite but distant, her eyes moving across our living room as if she were appraising a property for sale. Lydia baked an apple pie that evening, and Samantha complimented it, but her compliments felt rehearsed. They were engaged 6 months later. The wedding was in a historic mansion in Newport, Rhode Island, far grander than anything Michael and Samantha could afford. I knew they had taken out loans, but my son seemed too smitten to care. Lydia told me I was being harsh, that a wedding day was once in a lifetime. I kept my mouth shut, but inside I worried. Then, Lydia fell ill. Pancreatic cancer. The words alone felt like a sentence. The doctors gave her 3 months. She lived 5. Every day of those months is burned into my memory. The hospital smell of antiseptic, the slow wasting of her body, the way she tried to smile through unbearable pain. Michael came every evening after work, his face drawn but determined. Samantha came less often, always with excuses: a client meeting, a migraine, some social event. In the final week, she did not come at all. She sent flowers with a card that said, "Get well soon." Lydia could no longer read by then. At the funeral, Samantha took over the arrangements like a stage director, instructing where to place the flowers, what food to serve. I overheard her whispering into her phone. Yes, it's sad, but she was already 65. Everyone dies eventually. Lydia was 62. After that, Michael visited less. Samantha always had reasons. They were traveling, or he had a project at work, or she was unwell. Our dinners dwindled to a handful each year. Father's Day, Christmas, my birthday. Each time, Michael looked more tired. The pressure of his job weighed on him, but he rarely spoke of it. When he did, Samantha quickly changed the subject. Last year on my birthday, they did not come at all. Michael called an hour before the party and said Samantha had a migraine. I sat alone at the table, the candles burning down, while the neighbors tried to make cheerful conversation. They looked at me with pity in their eyes. I hated it. I tell myself this year will be different. I will not let Samantha dictate how I spend my birthday. I will not settle for a polite dinner at a faceless restaurant where the waiters interrupt at all the wrong times and the conversation lasts exactly 2 hours. No. This year, I will host it here in my house among the memories of Lydia. I picture it, the table set with our old plates, the chocolate cake from the bakery. Lydia loved the laughter of friends and neighbors filling the empty rooms. And Michael, my son, sitting beside me, if only for a few hours, reminded of who we are, father and son family. I sip my tea and pick up the phone. My hand trembles slightly as I dial his number. It rings 3 times before he answers. "Dad," he says, his tone formal, like he is speaking to a colleague. "Michael," I reply, forcing my voice steady. "I'm planning a small gathering for my birthday, just here at the house. Some neighbors, a few old coworkers. Nothing fancy. I'd like you and Samantha to come." There is a pause. I hear the faint sound of traffic in the background, his city life far from mine. "Are you sure, Dad?" Samantha thought maybe we could do a restaurant, easier for everyone. Of course she did. A neutral place, no obligations, no intimacy. No, I say firmly. I want it here, in our home, 6 o'clock. Another pause. I can almost hear him thinking of how to phrase his answer without offending his wife. "We'll come," he says finally. I close my eyes, relief washing over me. Good, I'll be waiting. After I hang up, I sit with the phone in my hand, staring at nothing. For a brief moment, hope flickers inside me. Perhaps this year will truly be different. Perhaps my son will see me not as a burden, not as a relic, but as his father worthy of respect. The kettle whistles again, though it is empty. I forgot to turn off the burner. I lift it, place it aside, and laugh softly at my mistake. Getting old is full of such little lapses. But inside me, something feels awake, alive. My birthday is coming, and with it, a chance. I whisper into the silence, as if Lydia might hear me. This time, I won't be the man they look down on. Not anymore. The morning of October 2nd arrives gray and damp, the kind of New England autumn day when drizzle clings to the windows, and the air smells of wet leaves. I wake earlier than usual, heart thumping with a mixture of nerves and anticipation. 67 years. It is not a milestone, not a neat round number, but it feels significant to me. Perhaps because for the first time in years, Michael and Samantha promised to come to my house instead of shuttling me off to a restaurant. I want everything to be perfect. I shave slowly, careful not to nick my skin with trembling hands. I slip into the new navy suit I bought 2 days ago. It fits snugly, but not tight. The mirror shows a man who looks older than I feel, yet the suit lends me dignity. Lydia would have approved. By mid-afternoon, the cake is delivered. Chocolate with buttercream frosting from the same bakery where Lydia used to order for family occasions. The young woman at the counter did not recognize me when I placed the order. She must be new. I set the cake in the refrigerator, running my fingers along the white cardboard box, as though Lydia's touch still lingers on it. I prepare the food myself, nothing extravagant. Sliced meats, a couple of salads, baked chicken. I even make a gluten-free salad for Samantha, though I doubt she truly needs it. Still, I do not want her to find fault with me before the evening even begins. At 5:30, the Thompsons arrive from next door. Gloria carries a homemade apple pie despite my insistence on no gifts. Stuart hands me a bottle of whiskey with an awkward smile. Their presence fills the house with the warm buzz of voices. Soon after, George Miller, an old colleague from the college, knocks on the door, followed by Henry Collins and his wife Margaret. Each guest brings something small, a book, a scarf, a jar of jam. Simple, sincere gestures that touch me more than expensive offerings ever could. The living room hums with conversation. Laughter echoes off the walls that have been silent too long. I pour drinks, pass around plates, and try to be the gracious host Lydia always was. For a while I almost forget my loneliness, but I cannot stop glancing at the clock. 6 o'clock passes, then 6:15. The hands crawl towards 7. My guests exchange sympathetic looks, though they do not say anything. I can read their thoughts. Will his son come this time? Or will he find an excuse again? At last, the doorbell rings at 7 sharp. My heart leaps. I open the door to find Michael standing there in a dark suit, shoulders stiff, and Samantha beside him, flawless as always, in an ivory dress. Her lips are painted crimson, her eyes lined with precision, as though she is attending a gala rather than a modest family dinner. She kisses the air near my cheek, leaving a trace of perfume that smells expensive and artificial. Michael hugs me briefly, his body tense. "Happy birthday, Dad," he says, and for a moment I hear warmth in his voice. Come in, I reply, forcing cheer. Everyone is already here. They step inside. Samantha's gaze sweeps over the room, pausing on the worn elbows of Henry's jacket, the plain dress Margaret wears, the humble plates set on the table. Her nose crinkles almost imperceptibly. Then she produces a shiny box wrapped in silver paper with an elaborate bow. "This is for you, Orlando," she says. She rarely calls me Dad, always my first name as though keeping distance. Her smile is wide but cold. I take the box carefully, surprised by how light it feels. Everyone gathers around expecting me to open it. I untie the ribbon, slowly, peel back the paper, lift the lid. Inside is nothing. An empty box. At first, I think there has been a mistake, that perhaps the real gift slipped out or she left it in the car. I look up in confusion. Samantha's smile widens. "It's perfect, don't you think?" she says loudly enough for everyone to hear. An empty box for an empty man. The words strike me like a physical blow. For a moment, silence fills the room. Gloria gasps. Henry frowns deeply. Michael's face drains of color. "What are you doing?" Michael whispers to her, horrified. But Samantha does not stop. She laughs, a high, brittle sound that cuts through the silence. For years he has pretended to be some great scholar, some wise old man, but in reality he is nothing. Empty. Just like this box. My guests stare at me, some in pity, others in shock. I feel my chest tighten, my hands trembling around the worthless gift. I want to speak to defend myself, but the words stick in my throat. I can only sit there exposed, humiliated in my own home. Michael tries to hush her, his voice desperate. "Enough, Samantha. Stop." But the damage is done. The warmth that filled the room only moments ago has evaporated, replaced by an unbearable weight of embarrassment. One by one, my friends make excuses to leave. George clasps my shoulder, eyes filled with sympathy, before slipping out the door. Gloria and Stuart mutter apologies. Soon, the living room empties, plates of food, half-finished glasses, still full, laughter gone. Samantha stands in the middle of the wreckage, triumphant smile fixed on her face. She has succeeded in making me small, pathetic a man to be pitied. Michael pulls at her arm, furious. "We're leaving," he hisses. "I cannot move. I cannot breathe." I watch them walk out the door, slamming shut behind them, leaving me alone in the wreckage of what should have been a celebration. I sink into my chair, the empty box still clutched in my hands. The words echo in my ears. An empty man. For the first time in years, I do not just feel old, I feel erased. The night after my birthday party is the longest of my life. I sit alone in the living room, the smell of half-eaten food hanging heavy in the air, glasses still half filled with wine no one drank. The cake remains untouched in the refrigerator. My hands ache from gripping Samantha's empty box. I finally crumple it and drop it into the trash, but the words she spoke cling to me more stubbornly than paper and empty man. Sleep does not come. When I close my eyes, I see the pity on my neighbors' faces, the shock in Michael's eyes, the cruel satisfaction in Samantha's smile. I pace the length of the house, each step echoing in the silence. The humiliation burns, but beneath the burn is something sharper, more alive than I have felt in years. Anger. For so long, I have allowed myself to be dismissed, avoided, pitied. But Samantha crossed a line. She thought I was harmless, too old to fight back a relic who would swallow her cruelty in silence. She was wrong. At 2 in the morning, I sit down at my old desktop computer. It is slow, the screen flickering, but it still works. My hands hover over the keyboard. What am I about to do? I spent my life teaching ethics logic, the importance of integrity. And here I am, about to invade my own son's privacy. Yet the humiliation burns hotter than my conscience. This is not curiosity, I tell myself. This is self-defense. Months ago, Michael had brought his laptop here to show me some designs for a highway interchange. I remembered how it connected automatically to my Wi-Fi. That meant his device was saved in the router. With the right setup, I could intercept its traffic the next time he visited. The knowledge is still in me. Circuits, networks, data flow. I taught these things for decades. It takes hours. My old fingers slow on the keyboard, but by dawn, I have built a crude system. The next time Michael comes with his laptop, I will see what he sees. I lean back exhausted but restless. Birds are beginning to chirp outside. For the first time since the party, I feel a strange calm. A plan. Revenge is no longer an abstract desire, it has taken shape. Later that day, Michael calls. His voice is heavy. Dad, I need to see you. Alone. Samantha. She's not feeling well. I almost laugh at the irony. Not feeling well. Convenient. But I keep my voice neutral. Of course. Come whenever you like. When he arrives, he carries his laptop under his arm, just as I hoped. His eyes are shadowed, his face pale. He sits on the couch apologizing for Samantha's behavior. He claims it was a misunderstanding, a stupid joke, that she had planned to give me a trip to Scotland. But something went wrong with the reservation. I listen silently, nodding at intervals. But inside, I know he is lying for her. I have been lied to enough times to recognize the sound of it. While he talks, my program does its work. A small light on the router blinks, confirming the connection. Files copy themselves into hidden folders. Emails browsing history bank logins. I pour him coffee, my hands steady, now, my heart cold and determined. After he leaves, I sit at the computer. My plan is no longer theory, it is action. The data spreads before me like an open book. At first, I find nothing unusual. Work emails, technical documents, news articles. Then patterns emerge. Searches about debt, about financial strain in marriage. Bank records that show large withdrawals Michael did not mention. Transfers into an account under the name of Samantha Blackwell. I dig deeper. Saved passwords open doors. One leads to Samantha's social media. I almost close the window ashamed, but I cannot stop. Messages fill the screen, long, intimate conversations with a man named Vince Patterson. They know each other well too well. She writes to him about how boring Michael has become, how she deserves better, how she dreams of leaving once she has secured enough money. She writes about their crazy nights, about meetings at hotels. I copy everything. Screenshots, messages, receipts. My hands tremble as I print the most damning pieces. The whir of the printer sounds like a drumbeat of war. Evidence piles up on my desk, her debts, her secret credit cards, her lover's name, her betrayal. I stare at the stack of papers until my eyes blur. Samantha's hatred of me suddenly makes sense. I was the obstacle. I was the one who could see through her performance, who might reveal her lies to Michael. So she tried to discredit me, to humiliate me, to strip me of any authority in my son's eyes. She thought I would crumble. She thought I would disappear into silence. But she underestimated me. Over the next 2 days, I sort the evidence into neat categories: financial fraud, infidelity, manipulation. I place the pages into a large envelope. When I open the drawer of the living room table, I slide it inside like a weapon waiting for its time. I call my neighbors and a few old colleagues. I'd like to host a small dinner, I tell them, to smooth things over after my birthday. They hesitate, their voices awkward, but they agree. Pity still colors their tone, but soon they will see I am not to be pitied. Finally, I call Michael. Another dinner, I say calmly. This Saturday. Samantha included, a chance to make amends. He is surprised but relieved. That's generous of you, Dad. She feels terrible about what happened. I smile into the phone, though he cannot see. I'm sure she does. When I hang up, I walk through the house imagining the scene to come. Samantha seated at the table, pretending contrition. My friends gathered again, expecting reconciliation, and me rising with envelope in hand, turning her humiliation back upon her, multiplied by truth. For years, I have been the quiet one, the man ignored, pitied, dismissed. In a few days, I will no longer be empty. I will be the man who strikes back. Saturday arrives cold and clear, the kind of autumn evening when the air tastes sharp and the sky glows pale orange at dusk. I spend the day preparing the house, not with food. This time I ordered from a restaurant, but with precision. Chairs arranged in a circle, glasses lined on the table, the envelope heavy in the drawer beside me. Everything is in place. When the doorbell rings at 6:30, the neighbors file in one by one. Gloria and Stuart Thompson, cheerful but cautious. George Miller, shoulders stooped, carrying a bottle of wine. Henry Collins, with Margaret on his arm, whispering about how awkward this evening might be. I pour drinks, exchange pleasantries, keep my tone warm. Let them relax. Soon enough, warmth will turn to fire. At 7 sharp, Michael and Samantha arrive. He looks tired but presentable in his gray suit. She, of course, is immaculate, hair pinned back, pearl earrings glinting, smile rehearsed. Her perfume enters the room before she does, filling the air with something artificial. Orlando, she says sweetly, extending her hand. Thank you for giving me this chance. My behavior was unforgivable. I shake her hand, my grip firm. We all make mistakes, I reply. What matters is learning from them. Relief flickers across her face. Poor fool. She thinks it will be that easy. Dinner begins pleasantly enough. The guests chatter about city news, the opening of a new park, the weather. Samantha nods politely, laughing in all the right places, sipping her wine with practiced grace. Michael seems relaxed for the first time in weeks, grateful for the illusion of peace. But I feel the envelope in the drawer like a weight on my chest. Every clink of silverware brings me closer to the moment. My palms sweat, though my heart beats steady. I know what I must do. After the main course, I tap my fork against my glass. The sound cuts through the conversation. I'd like to say a few words, I begin. The room quiets. Eyes turn to me. First, thank you all for coming. It means much to me that we can gather again after the misunderstanding at my birthday. I pause deliberately, letting the word hang. Samantha lowers her gaze, feigning shame. Samantha. I continue. Perhaps you'd like to speak. She straightens her shoulders, ready for her performance. Yes, of course. Her voice trembles just enough to seem genuine. I want to apologize to everyone. What I did was unforgivable. I was upset, I drank too much, and I ruined what should have been a happy night. I deeply regret the pain I caused Orlando, who means so much to my husband. She sits, cheeks faintly flushed. The guests murmur polite acceptance. Michael smiles at me, gratitude in his eyes. For a moment, it looks as though reconciliation has triumphed. But I am not finished. I rise from my chair, walk to the drawer, and pull out the envelope. My fingers feel steady, as if Lydia herself steadies them. I return to the table, the envelope in hand, and now I say a gift of my own. For Samantha. Her eyes flicker with unease. Oh, Orlando, that isn't necessary, I insist. I slide the envelope across the table. Open it. The room grows still. She hesitates, then tears the seal. The first page slips into her hand. Her face pales. It is a printout of her messages with Vince Patterson. Words of longing and betrayal staring back at her in black ink. What is this, she whispers. The truth, I reply. About you. About the secrets you've hidden from my son. Michael leans forward, confused. Let me see. No, she snaps, clutching the papers, but others spill onto the table. Bank transfers to her private account, credit card statements, hotel receipts. Michael grabs one, his eyes scanning rapidly. His face hardens. Why are you transferring thousands from our joint account? He demands. It's not what you think, she stammers. I was saving for our future. And these messages? He snatches another page, reading aloud. I can't live like this anymore. He's just like his father. I deserve better. I miss our nights, Vince. Gasps ripple through the room. Samantha's mask cracks. She shakes her head wildly. He twisted this, Michael. Your father hates me. He's always wanted to turn you against me. I step closer, then explain the hotel bill, a room for two, champagne, late checkout. Tears stream down her face, smearing her makeup. She clutches Michael's arm. It was nothing, just a mistake, please. But Michael pulls away. His eyes are cold now, filled with betrayal. Who is Vince? The room is silent, except for her sobs. The guests stare, frozen between pity and horror. I turn to them. At my birthday, she humiliated me in front of you all. Tonight I return the favor, but with truth, not cruelty. Samantha glares at me through her tears. You're a monster. You planned this, lured us here, pretended to forgive me. Yes, I answer simply, just as you planned your empty box. Michael gathers the papers, his jaw tight. We're leaving, he says quietly. He guides her to the door, though she resists, begging him to believe her. The guests rise awkwardly, murmuring goodbyes, slipping out as quickly as they can. One by one, they vanish until the house is empty again. I stand alone in the wreckage once more, but this time, the emptiness feels different. Not weakness, not pity, power. For the first time in years, I do not feel like an old man waiting to be dismissed. I feel like a man who has struck back. The house is silent again. Plates sit half-finished on the table. Wine glasses, abandoned napkins, crumpled like fallen flags. The smell of roasted chicken and gravy lingers in the air, but to me it smells like smoke after a battlefield. I sit in my chair, the same chair where Lydia once curled with a book, and listen to the clock tick on the mantel. Each tick reminds me that the night is over, that the war I declared has been fought, that victory feels nothing like I imagined. I told myself I wanted justice, that I needed to protect Michael from Samantha's lies. That is true. But beneath those noble words was something darker: revenge. I wanted her to suffer as she made me suffer, and she did. Her face crumpled. Her mask shattered, her tears smeared across her perfect makeup, while the guests looked on. I forced her into the same pit of humiliation she dug for me. Yet now, sitting here alone, I feel no triumph. Only emptiness. When the last guest slipped out, Michael stood in the doorway with the envelope of evidence in his hands. His eyes burned with confusion and betrayal, not just at Samantha, but at me. You could have told me in private, he said. His voice was flat heavy. Instead, you made a spectacle. Did you even think about me? About what it would feel like to read all this in front of our neighbors? I opened my mouth to answer, but nothing came. He didn't wait for a reply. He left with Samantha trailing behind, still pleading, still trying to claw her way back into his favor. The door slammed, and I was alone. I pour myself a glass of the whiskey Stuart brought and drink it down too fast. The burn in my throat is easier to bear than the ache in my chest. I think of Lydia. What would she say if she saw me tonight? Would she have applauded me for exposing the truth, or scolded me for the cruelty of my methods? She was always the gentler one, the compass that steered me away from extremes. Without her, I am all sharp edges. I wash the dishes mechanically, stacking plates in silence, wiping crumbs from the table. My hands know the motions, but my mind drifts. I see Michael's face as he read those messages, the way his shoulders slumped, the way his lips pressed into a thin line. Pain, betrayal, anger. I wanted to protect him, but I wounded him too. That night I sleep little. When dawn breaks, gray light spilling into the room, the phone rings. My heart leaps when I see Michael's number. Dad, his voice is hoarse, ragged. She confessed, all of it. The money, the affair, the lies. She's packing now. I'll change the locks tomorrow. I close my eyes, torn between relief and sorrow. I'm sorry, son, I whisper. I need time, he says. Not just because of her. Because of you. You didn't think about me, about how it would feel. You wanted revenge more than you wanted to help me, and I don't know if I can forgive that yet. I understand. Silence stretches across the line. Then, thank you for the truth, but I'm still angry. Fair enough, I reply. I can live with your anger if it means you know the truth. He exhales weary. Goodbye, Dad. The line clicks. I sit for a long time with the phone in my hand. The truth is out. Samantha is gone. My son is free of her poison. But at what cost? His trust in me lies shattered. For 3 months, Michael stays with me while the divorce grinds through the courts. He sleeps in the guest room, his laptop glowing late into the night. We speak little, exchanging only surface words. Good morning. How was work? Dinner's in the fridge. The deeper things remain buried like rocks under the soil we dare not dig up. I want to reach for him to tell him I am proud that I acted out of love, even if revenge poisoned that love. But the words catch in my throat. I know he resents me, that he sees me as manipulative, controlling, too certain of my own righteousness. Perhaps he is right. One morning in January, over coffee, he tells me he has found an apartment. On Riverside, he says. It's small but new. I moved this weekend. I nod, my heart heavy. It's a good neighborhood. He sips his coffee, not meeting my eyes. You ruined my marriage, Dad. Your marriage was already ruined, I answer quietly. I just showed you the truth. In front of everyone. He sets down his cup sharply. You didn't just expose her. You exposed me. Do you know how humiliating it was to sit there while our neighbors read those words over my shoulder? I have no answer. He is right. I did not think of him in that moment. I thought only of myself, of my need to strike back. He shakes his head. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you. The words cut, but I force myself to meet his gaze. I don't regret it, I say. You deserve to know, even if it cost me your trust. He studies me, then looks away. That's the problem. You never regret anything, not even when it hurts people. He leaves for work, and I sit staring at the empty chair he left behind. The truth has freed him, but chained us. The weekend comes too quickly. Movers load his few belongings into a van. He keeps Lydia's photo, a few books, his laptop. He leaves the rest. The guest room becomes empty once more, the bed stripped, the walls bare. We stand awkwardly in the doorway. Should we hug, shake hands, say goodbye? Finally, he steps forward and embraces me. His cologne lingers on my jacket after he pulls away. See you tomorrow for lunch, he says. Tomorrow, I repeat, my voice rough. He drives away and the house falls silent again. That night, I allow myself to cry. Not loudly, not desperately, but tears slip down my cheeks as I sit on the edge of the empty bed. I tell myself I do not regret exposing Samantha, but I regret the way I did it. I regret the wound it carved between my son and me. The price of revenge is not Samantha's humiliation. It is Michael's distance. The next day I visit his new apartment. It is bright, modern, sparsely furnished. Only Lydia's photo gives it warmth. We eat steak and salad in silence, then sip coffee in the living room. Finally he speaks. I've been thinking, he says. We can't go back to the way things were. But I don't want to lose you either. Maybe we see each other once a month. No talk of the past, just father and son. It is less than I hoped, more than I deserve. I agree, I say. When I leave, there is a strange lightness in me. A truce is not forgiveness, but it is not exile either. At home, I sit by the window as the sun sets, the sky painted in orange and pink. The house is quiet, but no longer despairing. Sadness lingers, yes, but so does acceptance. I made my choice. I paid the price. Revenge gave me dignity, but it cost me closeness. Perhaps that is what justice always costs, something we do not expect to lose until it is gone. 3 months after the storm that tore through my family, the Mayflower Street house still looks the same from the outside. The curtains Lydia chose still hang in the windows. The same porcelain figurines gather dust on the shelves. The same furniture fills the living room. But inside, something has shifted. The silence is no longer heavy with humiliation. It is filled with a strange, tentative peace. Michael has settled into his apartment on Riverside. We see each other once a month, as he suggested. At first, our meetings are stiff, formal affairs. Lunch at his place, or sometimes a diner halfway between us. We talk about work, about weather, about the Red Sox. We avoid the landmines of the past. But with each meeting, the stiffness eases. A joke slips in, a genuine smile, the beginnings of something new, fragile but real. I do not fool myself. The wound is still there. He has not forgiven me for the way I revealed Samantha's betrayal. Perhaps he never will, but he has not cut me out of his life, and for that I am grateful. Living alone again is both a curse and a challenge. At first, the empty house feels unbearable. I wander from room to room, pausing at Lydia's photo on the mantel, her smile frozen in time. For days, I do nothing but sit in my chair, listening to the clock tick, replaying the night of Samantha's humiliation again and again. But gradually, I begin to change. One morning, I dig through old boxes in the attic and find Lydia's gardening tools. The sight of them, rusted but sturdy, brings tears to my eyes. She loved her roses, her hydrangeas, her little patch of earth behind the house. I decide to tend the garden again, not because I have her green thumb, but because it connects me to her. The first time I kneel in the dirt, my knees ache, my hands tremble, but I feel something stir in me. Life. Growth. The quiet rhythm of tending plants fills the emptiness in a way nothing else has. Neighbors begin to notice. Gloria from next door stops by to compliment the roses. Stuart waves when he walks the dog. Their visits are brief, polite, but they remind me that I am not invisible. I also begin writing again. For years, colleagues told me I should record my experiences from decades of teaching. One evening, I pull out a yellow legal pad and start jotting memories. The students who challenged me, the conferences where I defended truth against nonsense, the long nights preparing lectures. The stories pour out, at first messy, then more structured. Writing gives me purpose, a way to shape the past into something useful. Sometimes I wonder if Michael will ever read it. Perhaps someday when I am gone, he will find my words and understand me better than he does now. Perhaps he will see not only the stubborn, vengeful old man, but also the father who tried in his flawed way to protect him. One Sunday afternoon, I visit Michael's apartment. He has cooked steaks again, just as he did that first lunch. After we eat, we sit on his balcony overlooking the river. The air is crisp, the water glitters in the sunlight. "Dad," he says after a long pause, "I've been thinking of taking a trip. Scotland, maybe. You've always talked about it." The words catch me off guard. Scotland. Yes. I want to see where our family came from. And maybe you could come with me. For a moment, I cannot speak. My throat tightens, my eyes sting. He does not know how much that means to me. How Lydia always dreamed of us going together, but never got the chance. "I'd like that," I finally say. He nods, looking out at the river. We do not speak of Samantha. We do not speak of the past. But in that silence, there is something softer, almost like hope. At night, when I return to my quiet house, I no longer hear silence as condemnation. It is space. Space to reflect, to grow, to remember Lydia without despair, to imagine a future that is not defined by loss. I think often about revenge, about how it consumed me. Did I do the right thing? Yes. Michael deserved to know the truth. But did I do it the right way? No. I let anger guide me, and it cost me more than I expected. Revenge gave me justice, but justice without compassion is hollow. Still, I do not regret exposing Samantha. Without truth, Michael would still be trapped in lies. But I regret that I let my pride blind me to his pain. That is the lesson I must carry into the years I have left. The world outside continues. The seasons turn. Spring brings blossoms to Lydia's roses. Summer warms the porch where I sit in the evenings watching children ride their bikes down the street. Autumn paints the leaves gold, reminding me of the night everything changed. Winter covers the garden in white, a reminder that life rests but does not end. Through it all, I keep moving forward. Not quickly, not perfectly, but forward. And that I realize is enough. Because in the end, I am not the empty man Samantha claimed I was. I am a man scarred, yes, stubborn, yes, but still alive, still capable of growth, still capable of love. And that is more than enough. There are stories that settle into us like a quiet winter evening when the house is still and the clock ticks gently on the mantel. This tale of a father, a son, and the woman who came between them is not one of glory or simple triumph. It is a story of mistakes made, truths revealed, dignity regained at a cost, and the long road of learning that even when justice is served, hearts may still ache. As we follow the arc from an old man's solitude to the shattering moment of humiliation, and finally to his act of defiance, and the slow, tentative healing afterward, what remains is not the anger of revenge, but the weight of choices. The years behind us often remind us that every act carries a price, and that pride, when left unchecked, can wound even those we love most deeply. Yet in the same breath, we see that honesty, however sharp, can free us from illusions, and that courage, even when misunderstood, may still plant seeds for renewal. The lesson hidden here is simple and timeless. We must hold on to our dignity, stand for the truth, and protect what we value, but we must also remember to temper justice with compassion. Defending our worth does not mean crushing others, for in the end, what gives us peace is not the humiliation of those who scorned us, but the knowledge that we lived with integrity. In life, as in family, wounds will come, but so too does the chance to build something gentler from those broken places. And perhaps that is the reminder meant for all of us. Listening tonight, never be too quick to dismiss another soul, no matter how worn, how weathered, or how underestimated they may appear. For the truth and the light of justice can rise from the very person others choose to overlook. It is often the quiet ones, the ones left in the corner, who hold a wisdom or a strength that no one expects. Just as a lamp left glowing in the window can guide us home on the darkest of nights, a simple act of courage or kindness can lead us steady and sure through life's hardest passages. So as this story closes, let it linger a little in your own heart. Consider where you might have been overlooked, or where you yourself may have looked away too quickly from someone else's worth. And if this tale has touched you, if it has sparked a memory or a truth in your own journey, carry it forward. Share it gently with another soul who may need to be reminded that dignity matters, that truth endures, and that we are never as empty as others may think. Because sometimes the quietest lives still speak the loudest if only we pause long enough to listen.